You know what is so strange about the ending of Goodfellas? It is not that Henry Hill survives. It is not that he rats. It is not even that after everything he has seen, everything he has done, and everything he has become, his final complaint is basically that now he has to live like a regular nobody. No, the strange part comes right at the end. Almost like the movie reaches out and grabs you by the collar one last time. Henry steps out of his suburban house in witness protection. He is wearing that bland little robe, standing there in the sunlight, looking like a guy who used to be somebody and now has to wait in line for ketchup like everybody else. The life is over, the glamour is gone. The suits, the clubs, the cash, the power, the girls, the fear, the shortcuts, the feeling that normal rules did not apply to him anymore, all of that is finished. And then, out of nowhere, the movie cuts to Tommy DeVito, not alive in the story, of course. Tommy is already dead. He has been dead. He got led into that room thinking he was about to be made, only to be shot in the face before he even understood what was happening. His story is over. And yet there he is, suddenly filling the screen, dressed sharp, holding a gun, firing straight at us, straight at the camera, straight at the audience. It is one of the most famous final images in movie history, and it is also one of the oddest, because it feels so direct, so aggressive, so deliberately out of place that you cannot just ignore it. It is not there by accident. It is not random. Martin Scorsese knew exactly what he was doing when he put it there. So why is Tommy shooting at the camera? Is it just a cool little flourish? Is it a film reference? Is it a message? Is it a threat? Is it aimed at Henry? Is it aimed at us? Or is it the movie's final way of saying that no matter how much fun you had watching these guys, you were never really safe from what they were? That is what makes the shot so fascinating, because the more you think about it, the more it feels like the perfect final image for Goodfellas. Now, on one level, the answer is actually pretty simple. Scorsese himself has explained it. He said the shot was an homage to the great train robbery, that famous 1903 silent film that ends with a bandit turning toward the camera and firing his gun directly at the audience. That image is legendary. It is one of the earliest examples of a movie doing something shocking and confrontational, almost like the screen itself is no longer a barrier between the story and the people watching it. Scorsese loved that image, and he wanted to echo it. And in a way, that explanation makes perfect sense. Goodfellas is a gangster movie, and The Great Train Robbery is often seen as one of the earliest crime films ever made. Strip away the details, and both stories are about criminals who chase money, live outside the law, and eventually get swallowed up by consequences. In both cases, the audience is drawn into the thrill of outlaw life, and in both cases, the law closes in by the end. So yes, on the most basic level, Tommy shooting at the camera is a direct nod to film history. It is Scorsese saluting one of the earliest crime movies ever made by putting its most iconic image at the end of one of the greatest crime movies ever made. That alone would be enough. But come on, this is Goodfellas. Nothing in this movie feels that casual. Nothing that powerful is there only because it looks cool. Scorsese may have borrowed the image from an older film, but once he put it here, inside this story, right at this moment, it took on a life of its own. It started meaning more, because what matters is not just that Tommy shoots at the camera. What matters is when it happens. The timing is everything. If that shot had appeared halfway through the film, it would have felt like style. If it had shown up right after a killing, it would have felt like swagger. But placed at the very end, after Henry has sold out his friends, after Jimmy and Paulie are finished, after Tommy is dead, after the whole glamorous machine has collapsed into fear, mediocrity, and regret, that shot lands differently. It feels like the movie's last word. And the first thing that makes it so effective is the way it connects Tommy to the essence of the gangster life itself. Think about Tommy for a second. Of all the characters in Goodfellas, Tommy is the purest expression of the mob as fantasy and as nightmare. Jimmy is calculating, Henry is adaptable, Paulie is old world and restrained. But Tommy is the raw, unstable, electric version of gangster mythology. He is funny, terrifying, charismatic, petty, explosive, childish, violent, magnetic, and impossible to predict. He is the guy who can make a room roar with laughter and then turn it into a murder scene over a bruised ego. If you wanted to reduce the entire gangster archetype to one image, Tommy would not be a bad choice. Sharp suit, hard stare, gun in hand, no hesitation, pure aggression. That is why the shot works so well. It is not just Joe Pesci appearing one last time. It is the movie distilling the gangster image down to its most primal form. The hat, the suit, the weapon, the sudden violence. It is everything that makes that life seductive on the screen. It is macho, theatrical, dangerous, and cool, and exactly the way movies have trained audiences to find irresistible. And then right after that, the movie gives you Henry Hill in his boring little suburban existence. That contrast is brutal. On one side, there is Tommy, frozen forever as the glamorous fantasy of gangster violence. On the other side, there is Henry, still alive, but spiritually flattened, stuck in a life he considers humiliating. So, one way to read Tommy shooting at the camera is that the film is deliberately confronting the audience with the image they came for. You want the gangster? Here he is. Here is the icon. Here is the fantasy. Here is the part of the story people secretly love, even when they know they should not. Here is the dangerous man who does whatever he wants and never apologizes. And then the film immediately undercuts it by reminding you where that life actually leads. Death, prison, betrayal, mediocrity, fear. That is one of the reasons the ending is so brilliant. It knows that gangster movies create attraction. They cannot help it. When you spend 2 hours watching these men walk into restaurants, throw money around, command rooms, and live outside the rules, some part of the audience responds to that power. Some part of you starts to envy the freedom, the certainty, the swagger. Goodfellas understands this better than almost any movie. It knows the audience is seduced by this world, at the same time it is horrified by it. So by ending with Tommy firing at the camera, the movie almost seems to say, yes, this is what fascinates you. This is the image you cannot forget. This is the gangster as myth. But myths have consequences. And those consequences are standing right there in Henry's bathrobe. There is another way to look at the shot too, and this one gets even more interesting. You can read Tommy's gunfire as aimed not just at us, but at Henry himself. Now, obviously Tommy is dead, so we are not supposed to imagine this literally. It is not a ghost scene. It is not meant to be a real event in the story, but symbolically, it makes a lot of sense. At the end of the film, Henry has escaped prison, escaped murder, escaped the life, but he has not escaped the shadow of what he was. He has not escaped memory. He has not escaped fear. In fact, the whole point of witness protection is that you keep living while always looking over your shoulder. You are alive, but never relaxed, safe, but never secure. The old world is gone, but it is never fully gone. And what better image for that than Tommy firing at him from outside the story itself? Tommy, in that reading, becomes the embodiment of the life Henry can never completely outrun. The violence, the paranoia, the blood, the code, the madness, the men he once laughed with and ate with and killed with. Henry has turned his back on all of it, but it still follows him. It still points a gun at him from somewhere inside his own head. That makes the cut back to Henry even more powerful. He smiles, yes, but it is not a triumphant smile. It is the small, strange, hollow smile of a man who survived at the cost of everything that once made him feel important. He is alive, but he is reduced. He has chosen existence over status, breathing over belonging. And in mob culture, that is its own kind of death. That is another reason the Tommy shot feels so final. It can be read as the death of Henry Hill, not physically, but symbolically. The gangster version of Henry is over. The guy who got to skip lines, wear sharp suits, make quick money, and live like a prince among working stiffs is gone. Now he is just another schnook in a quiet neighborhood. Henry even tells us that this is what hurts him most. That is the dark comedy of the ending. He does not frame his greatest loss as moral corruption, or the ruined lives, or all the people dead because of the world he loved. No, his real heartbreak is that now he has to live like an ordinary citizen. He has to wait around, eat lousy food, and blend in. That is what makes Goodfellas so sharp. It never pretends Henry has become noble. He has not outgrown the life in any moral sense. He still misses it. He still longs for it. He still thinks of normal life as a punishment. So when Tommy shoots at the camera, it is almost like the movie is marking the execution of Henry's gangster identity. That version of him is dead now. The life is dead. The mythology is dead. The glamour has been blown apart. All that remains is the afterlife, the reduced version, the guy who has to keep existing after the fantasy has collapsed. And yet even that is not the whole story, because there is one more layer that makes the shot so unforgettable. Tommy is not just shooting at Henry, he is shooting at us. That is the most uncomfortable reading and probably the most powerful one. For 2 hours, Goodfellas has seduced the audience. It has pulled us into Henry's point of view. It has made us understand why this life was tempting. It has shown us the money, the confidence, the shortcuts, the women, the privilege, the respect, the speed, the thrill of walking into a room and feeling like the rules belong to somebody else. The movie never hides the ugliness, but it absolutely lets us feel the attraction. And because it does that so well, it has to break that spell somehow at the end. Tommy shooting at the camera is one way of doing that. It is as if the movie turns to the audience and says, do not forget what these men really are. Not heroes, not rebels, not lovable rogues, killers. Suddenly, the fantasy is no longer something you observe comfortably from your seat. It lunges at you. It violates the safe distance between viewer and character. It reminds you that the violence you have been consuming as entertainment would in reality be aimed at somebody, maybe even at you. That is what makes the image so confrontational. The screen stops being a window and becomes a line of fire. And that matters because one of the great achievements of Goodfellas is the way it balances seduction and disgust. It lets you feel why people are drawn to gangster life, but it also keeps reminding you that underneath the charm is brutality. The charm is not separate from the brutality. It is wrapped around it. They are part of the same package. So when Tommy shoots at the camera, the movie is not just referencing film history. It is also puncturing the audience's relationship to the gangster myth. It is turning the cool image into a threat. It is saying, in effect, you like these guys, fine. Here is what liking these guys really means. There is also something important about the fact that Tommy is the one doing the shooting, not Jimmy, not Paulie, not Henry. Tommy is the least reflective of the major characters. He is impulse without conscience, ego without restraint. That makes him the perfect final messenger, because Tommy is what the mob looks like when you strip away all excuses and just leave the appetite. He does not rationalize, he erupts, he does not disguise violence as business, he performs it as personality. So when the film chooses Tommy for that final direct attack, it is choosing the most concentrated form of mob energy in the entire story. It is not giving us the strategist or the survivor. It is giving us the id of the gangster world, the part that wants, takes, humiliates, destroys, and shoots first. And maybe That is why the shot lingers in the mind even after you know the official explanation. Yes, it is a tribute to the great train robbery. Yes, Scorsese explicitly said that. But great images do not stop meaning things just because the director gives one reason for using them. Once they are placed inside a film, especially a film this rich, they begin making connections of their own. That shot connects the gangster to the outlaw, the mobster to the gunslinger, the old American criminal myth to the modern one. It connects movie history to movie mythology. It connects the audience's fascination to the audience's discomfort. And it also closes the circle of Henry Hill's entire story. Remember how the film begins. Henry is a boy looking out the window, mesmerized by gangsters. To him, that world is dazzling. The cars, the jackets, the movement, the confidence. He does not want a normal life. He wants that life. He wants to be part of the world that stands outside the ordinary. And for a while, he gets it. Then he loses it. So the ending has to do more than simply show his punishment. It has to destroy the illusion without pretending the illusion was never beautiful. It has to admit that the life was thrilling while also insisting that the thrill was poisoned from the beginning. Tommy shooting at the camera does exactly that. It gives you the glamour one last time in its purest, most iconic form. Then it leaves you with the emptiness behind it. That is why I think the shot is so brilliant. It works on every level at once. It is a salute to one of the earliest crime films ever made. It is a symbolic warning aimed at Henry. It is a representation of the gangster life firing one last shot at the man who betrayed it. It is a direct confrontation with the audience's own fascination. And it is the perfect visual summary of what Goodfellas has been saying all along. This world is exciting, seductive, and unforgettable, but it is also insane, cruel, and always pointed at someone. So why is Tommy shooting at the camera? Because Scorsese wanted to honor film history. Because Tommy represents the mob life Henry can never fully escape. Because the gangster fantasy always ends by turning violent. Because the audience needed one last jolt before the movie let him go. And because in a film about men who lived by the gun, lied by the gun, rose by the gun, and died by the gun, there could hardly be a more fitting last image than a dead gangster reaching out from beyond the story and firing straight into our faces. That is not random. That is Goodfellas making sure you never forget what you were really watching.